Thank you so much. Would everyone please stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you all for coming out this morning. On this day, Wednesday, November 13th at 11:34 a.m., the regular board meeting of the Chicago Park District is being held at Holston Park, 2200 North Oakley Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60647. A chilly morning, so it is indeed very encouraging to see so many people have come out to attend this meeting. Will the secretary please take a roll call of the commissioners?
I most certainly will. Commissioner Poldyke. Commissioner Edwards.
Here.
Commissioner King.
Here.
Commissioner Netsky. Commissioner Munoz.
Here.
Vice President Halpin. President Lavelle.
Here.
We have 4 present. Quorum is present. Let the record reflect the General Superintendent and CEO, Michael Kelly, is also in attendance.
Thank you. The meeting will please come to order. First, under general business, designation of individuals to serve as the Illinois Association of Park District Delegates. I nominate 2 people. Tim O'Connell. What's the second nomination?
Can I get a second?
Noel Ginger and Tim O'Connell to serve as delegates for the Chicago Park District at the Illinois Association of Park Districts meeting. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the secretary please take a roll call for the adoption of the matter?
I most certainly will. Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
Commissioner Munoz.
Aye.
President Lavelle.
Aye.
Motion is carried, and Nicole Ginger and Timothy O'Connell will serve as delegates for the IAPD meetings on behalf of the Chicago Park District.
Thank you very much for your service. Next on the agenda, a resolution honoring retirees. Mike Kelly will read the resolution into the record. This is actually one of my very favorite things to do.
Yeah, this is one of those bittersweet moments, right, where we see a lot of familiar faces. I got to admit, over the 16 plus years I've been here, there's a few times I've looked up and said, "Wait a minute, I just saw you last week. You retired?" And I saw already a lot of faces from certainly admin today, folks I've worked with and got to know over the years for a very long time. So it is bittersweet. I'm not going to read years of service for those of you who follow this, because we've had a lot of back and forth on how many years of service. So I'm going to read your name, serial number, and rank. No. But with that, this resolution, the Board of Commissioners of the Chicago Park District, presented by Michael P. Kelly, General Superintendent and CEO, on November 13th, 2019. Whereas the Chicago Park District takes great pleasure and pride in recognizing its employees who have dedicated numerous years of service to the Park District and the city of Chicago. And whereas retirees have greatly contributed to the Park District's goals and exemplify the meaning of hard work, commitment, and passion the Park District and the city of Chicago seeks in all of its valued employees. And whereas retirees have provided invaluable services to park patrons and communities serving in various positions. And whereas retirees' years of service are a testament to the positive relationship and environment the Park District fosters and provides its employees, then and therefore, be it resolved that the General Superintendent and the Board of Commissioners extend their heartfelt gratitude to the following retirees for their years of dedication and commitment to the Chicago Park District and to the citizens of the city of Chicago, and sincerely wishes them success, good health, and happiness as they enter the next chapter of their lives. Avis Lavelle, President of the Board of Commissioners, Michael P. Kelly, General Superintendent and CEO. So with that, I will read off name and title, and then we'll do a quick picture up at the podium. So with that, John N. Wells, motor truck driver, Natural Resources.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Ashley Netsky has joined the meeting.
It's kind of like commencement.
Maureen Belling, Playground Supervisor, North Region, Adams Playground.
Thank you.
John B. Casillas, Electrician Foreman, Facilities Maintenance. Vera Angione, Accounts Payable Accountant, Comptroller's Office, and a personal friend of mine.
And grandmother of an urban prep graduate.
Roy Moya, Attendant, Central Region. Johnny Barbosa Jr., Natatorium Instructor, Aquatics. Ishmael S. Muhammad Sr., Security Guard, Department of Security. See, this is another one of these ones, because for how many years did Vicki actually administer this very program? So Victoria L. Kala, Chief of Staff, Board of Commissioners. Ann C. Cordes, Assistant Manager of Beaches and Pools, Aquatics. Shirley Evans, Administrative Secretary, Workforce Development. Henry V. Lee, Assistant Electrical Design Engineer, Capital Construction. I mean, I'm not kidding you. This feels like half the administration building retired this year.
I know.
And last but certainly not least, Jerry Hennigan, Manager, Community Rec, Special Rec. again, you're doing it now, but how about another big round of applause for all this year's retirees?
I'd like to take a point of personal privilege here, and I certainly extend the same to my colleagues. And I won't belabor this long, but when I look at you all and I look at the time that you have committed to your jobs at the Park District, I think that you've given a lifetime of service to the Park District. It's public service, and it is just as important to the well-being and the health and vitality of the city of Chicago as all other public servants, be them firefighters or police officers. What you do is critically important, and the contributions that you have made, we are eternally grateful for. So as you leave for the next chapter of your lives, recognize that you have been really a part of the fabric of Chicago, and you've made a big difference in how our lives operate on a day-to-day basis. So thank you very much for your contributions, every single one of you.
We do need a vote, so may I have a motion?
So move.
Second. Yeah, if you don't get the votes, you gotta come to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner King?
Aye.
Commissioner Netsky?
Hey.
Commissioner Munoz?
Aye.
President Lavelle?
Aye, and let the record reflect that Commissioner Netsky is on hand. Thank you very much.
Motion carried, and the resolution is adopted.
Under general business, we have a certificate of publication in the Chicago Sun-Times of the notice of the change of venue and calendar. This will be marked as received and filed by the secretary. And then next on the agenda, a certificate of filing of the 2019 annual appropriation ordinance with the clerk of DuPage County. This too will be marked as received and filed by the secretary. Then next, approval of the meeting minutes from the regular meeting held October 15, 2019. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Will the secretary please take a roll call for the adoption of this matter?
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner King?
Aye.
Commissioner Netsky?
Hi.
Commissioner Munoz?
Aye.
President Lavelle?
Aye.
Motion carried, and the minutes are adopted.
Thank you so much. Under acknowledging excellence, this is another of my favorite things. Recognition of the Junior Bear Football Program's 71st Annual Mum Bowl champions, which would be the Fosco Park Chargers and the Inglewood Four. Did you hear that? The Inglewood Four?
Good morning, President Lavelle, Board of Commissioners, and Superintendent Kelly. My name is Adrian Loza, and I am the Health and Physical Activities Manager of the Chicago Park District. I would like to add that I actually started my career here at Holstein Park 13 years ago. Actually, I worked here 13 years, starting in 1997, as a matter of fact. So I was just adding that. But Junior Bear Football is a free program that introduces the game of tackle football to youth from all over the city of Chicago. The program is funded by both the Chicago Park District and the Chicago Bears through a Bears Care grant. The Bears Care grant also helps fund our inner-city flag football program, which has 20 boys teams and 6 girls teams with approximately 260 youth participating in the program. All equipment, uniforms, and transportation is provided with these funds for the programs. Junior Bear Football is a heads-up football program which trains every coach with cutting-edge techniques to ensure that players are coached and trained with the safest possible methods in the sport. The program also contributes to participants becoming physically active and improving their outlook on overall health. The program takes pride in teaching and promoting the highest level of sportsmanship amongst players, coaches, volunteers, and parents. This year, Junior Bear Football was located at 18 Chicago parks with over 1,000 youth participating as players or cheerleaders. The Junior Bear Football Championship Trophy was named the Thomas Coach Mitchell Trophy in 2013. Coach Mitchell was the head football coach of the Brother Rice Crusaders for almost 30 years and later worked closely with the Junior Bear Football program as a Chicago Park District employee. Coach Mitchell's legacy lives on through the Junior Bear Football program and the many staff and coaches who worked with him. Every year, to award an exemplary display of sportsmanship and leadership, one player from each team is nominated for the Walter Payton Award, resulting in the best nominee being awarded. The ceremony recognizing the nominees and awarding the recipient happens at the annual Mum Bowl. This year, we had 2 Walter Payton Award winners, Mako Grant from Limboom Park and Salvador Espinosa from Kelvin Park. The Junior Bear football program would not be possible without the hard work of the Chicago Park District staff that put in many hours of dedicated time. Everyone from the park supervisors to the instructors to the rec leaders and also attendants have a hand in making the program a success. I cannot forget to mention my staff in the athletics department that are out every game day and night, ensuring that both the Junior Bear and Intercity Flag football programs run as smooth as possible. Kudos to them for their dedication to our youth and teens of Chicago. One person that deserves a special mention is Roberto Lugo Jr., Commissioner of the Junior Bear football program. Roberto works tirelessly to make sure that all participating parks have the resources and equipment they need to be successful in the program. Roberto, unfortunately, cannot be with us here today as he is on a well-deserved vacation. It finished and he needed that. And now at this time, I have the pleasure of introducing to you the head coach of the 71st Mumbo champions, the Fossil Park Chargers, Obi Allman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, President Lavelle, Board of Commissioners, Superintendent Mike Kelly. I'm gonna be a little brief, got a small. I was hoping that joke would work. So again, my name is Obi Allman. I am the Fosco Park Supervisor. I've been there for the past 7 years. I'm also the head coach of the Fosco Park Chargers, which we originated there at Fosco Park. Within 7 years, we have won the 2019, 2015, and 2014 Mumbo champion.
I think you
Sure.
know what you're doing.
Thank you.
Wow.
I want to first say thank you for giving me and my staff, and I'm saying thank you to the Chicago Park District for giving us the opportunity to host and introduce such a great program like the Junior Bear football to youth in the Avalon homes and Pilsen communities. We at Fosco find ways to be successful despite the lack of field and building space. The football team and patrons are very excited and looking forward to the potential new home of the Chargers being built on 14th and Loomis. Just the other day, one of my players told me, Coach, it's gonna be great that we can get off that 30-yard practice hill at Fosco Park. But I can't stand here today without, I can't help but not mention what I've done in the last 20 years, and where I started from was at Ogden Park on the south side,
Me too.
the Greater West Inglewood community. Although I would love to take all the credit and success from coming out of Inglewood community, I cannot talk about the success stories without mentioning the other 3 coaches that met me in the finals. Would y'all come up here, please? Coach Corey Turner from the North Region, Willie White. Coach Corey Deering, South Region, Ogden Park. Mr. Antoine Livingston, South Region, also from Limblom Park. The last 4 teams were led by all head coaches native to Inglewood communities. All 4 head coaches also represented all 3 regions of the city. North Region again, South Region, and South and Central Region myself. All 4 coaches had the chance to play college football as well as high school football. Corey Deering coming from Mississippi Valley State. Antoine Livingston coming from Eastern Illinois University. And me and Coach Turner actually played in the same division. He played at Langston University and I played at East Central University. So those are 4 small accomplishments that we've made amongst the great accomplishments that came out of Inglewood community. One thing we as coaches, being from the Inglewood community, can all understand and relate to is the daily struggle and stressful environment to grow up in as student athletes. I want to also thank Ms. Crenshaw of Ogden Park for bringing the attention to this subject, because when she brought it to me, my head was just focused on getting to the next level in the playoffs. So I'd like to personally thank her. And again, I want to thank the Park District for giving the Inglewood 4 an opportunity, a stage, a whistle, and an audience to teach our children. Thank you.
be in the picture. All right, Ogden Park. Okay. Under communications and reports, there is nothing to present, but we will now hear from people in the parks. Will the secretary please call the names of those who have signed up to speak?
What happened to the, when I did the art institute?
We didn't do that.
President Lavelle, we had a short video related to the Mumble, if that is okay with you.
Sure.
President Lavelle?
It doesn't say that, but we'll be happy to have it. Is there audio with it?
Yes, there is. We're pulling it up.
The Mumbo is one of the best events we have here in the Chicago Park District. This is the 71st year of this event, and this is something we look forward to. So the great thing about the Bear program, it helps produce excellence. So these four coaches that led their teams to Junior Bears all came from the Inglewood community, and they were mentored by a great coach that's actually here with us today on the sideline. One of our former Parks name is Tim White, and all of these guys are some of his kids. So it's great about that mentorship to keep passing on that legacy to the next.
One thing about this program, whether in high school or college, these are bragging rights for life. At age 13, I got players come back to age 20, 22 years old. There's only two things they remember: football camp, playing at social football.
And it's not just about the football players. The Junior Bear program creates community. So along with football players, we also have cheerleaders and the Parents Club and our wonderful staff to put this on. And it really is one of the main focuses of community. If you look here today, we got a team from Fosco, as well as we got a team from West Inglewood, Wimblum, and that's just what it's all about, is bringing these communities together.
Very nice. And again, congratulations to the Fosco Park Chargers, and our thanks to the Inglewood Four. Before we do people in the parks, I have to back up and say that. Under the presentation from the departments, we will hear from James Rondo, president of the Art Institute, to give a presentation on behalf of the museums in the park. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, President Lavelle, Commissioner, Superintendent Kelly. Good morning. My name is James Rondo, to all guests as well. I am honored to be the president and director of the Art Institute of Chicago. And of course, it's our great privilege to address all of you gathered here today and to address the Chicago Park District. Our museum is sincerely appreciative of the meaningful support that we get from the Park District. It is critical to the overall operations of our museum, and it enables us to continue to be a vital force within the culture of our city. The last time I spoke to you, 3 years ago, I had been newly appointed as the museum's president and director. And today, I'm honored and excited to present to you as the newly appointed president of Museums in the Park. As I begin in this new role in just a month from now, I'm very pleased to report that the 11 museums in the park, of which of course our museum is one, collectively continue to make a profound impact on the economy, not only of Chicago, but largely of the state of Illinois. Our 11 world-class institutions bring $1.2 billion to our economy, over 5,500 jobs, and generate $120 million in annual state and local revenue. Of course, our economic impact is critical to the health and growth of our local and state economies, but our mission is rooted in making a cultural and educational and service impact on Chicago. Central to accomplishing this goal is access. Collectively, Museums in the Park have offered free admission to 2.7 million visitors, including 800,000 CPS students and 1,040 total days of free admission. We also reach Chicagoans beyond the walls of our respective institutions, bringing programming and connecting with more than 29,000 participants in 100 parks in neighborhoods throughout the city over the past 20 years. Our museum, the Art Institute of Chicago, is an active part, we think, of the success of the Museums in the Park. These numbers speak to the numerous ways the museum is actively working to deepen visitor participation and engagement, both inside our walls, through programs, events, exhibitions, etc., and outside, through publications, our website, and outreach. We are succeeding, I think, welcoming almost 1.5 million visitors each year to our museum, more than 332,000 of them for free from all over the world. Indeed, we are inextricably linked to the Park District that we sit in. Thanks to programs such as Park Voyagers, Night Out in the Parks, CPD group field trips to our museum, we are able to introduce communities throughout the city to our museum and to begin to connect them with our collections, exhibitions, and programs. We are grateful for this partnership and have continued to track strong attendance to these programs. Increasing access to our museum for all of our communities is imperative. For decades, our museum has offered free admission to all children under 14. In 2017, we broadened that reach even further by offering free admission to all Chicago teens under the age of 18. Opening the museum's literal and figurative doors to the next generation, this program has quadrupled the number of Chicago teens who visit the museum in just the first year of the program alone. Building on this, we now offer even more ways for teen involvement. Within our museum, our Teen Council and Teen Lab have been responsible for elements of our programming and even have launched a new teen audio tour designed by teens, narrated by teens for teens. Our museum is also working to create awareness among high school, college, and graduate students about what it is like to work in a museum. Most young people are not familiar with the wide range of jobs available at a museum. We are not only curators and educators, we're also librarians, conservators, carpenters, security professionals, financial and marketing professionals, designers, scientists, and much more. We have nearly 600 staff and contractors from every ward in the city that represent an enormously diverse pool of talent and skills as our employees.
On February 9th last year, nearly 800 students from all across Chicago and also from states around, surrounding states, gathered at our museum for what we call JAM, Jobs in Art Museums. Those in attendance interacted with nearly 70 staff members from departments across the museum. With its success, we are planning the next JAM for February 2020, just a few months from now. Redesigned spaces in our museum and an exciting roster of exhibitions aim to engage our audiences by broadening our stories, as well as highlighting artists that connect with broad audiences. Our African art galleries were just reinstalled, first time in decades, to offer fresh perspectives through both the physical display and interpretation of all objects on view. For the very first time, the introductory and interpretive text panels and labels acknowledge the violent legacies of colonialism, as well as the complexity separating ritual artifact and art object. We are highlighting remarkable but lesser known stories. Currently on view, an exhibition called, poetically, In a Cloud, in a Wall, in a Chair, tells the story of designers, 6 female makers, to shed light on the profound influence that the vibrant arts and culture scene in Mexico City had on these artists at mid-century. The exhibition challenges the assumptions so present in our discourse today of the directions that transnational migration can take. In recent political discourse, Mexico is too often framed as a place people are passing through or migrating from. But as this exhibition beautifully underscores, Mexico's openness to artistic practice draws hosts of modern and contemporary artists and designers from around the world to migrate to Mexico to live and practice there. Also telling fuller stories of very well-known artists. October 22nd, just a few weeks ago, we opened Andy Warhol From A to B and Back Again to extremely positive reviews. This is the first major retrospective of an iconic American pop artist in 30 years, the last one, 1989, also at our museum, which means that an entire generation of Chicagoans have never had a chance to see a show on this work of this magnitude. Warhol's aesthetic has become integral to our visual culture. More than any other artist we can think of, people know his aesthetic and relate to him, whether they know his name or not only as an artist, but as a person. The exhibition presents our museum a great opportunity to engage people who might not normally visit. Andy Warhol appears to be doing just that. In the first 25 days alone, we have nearly 80,000 visitors to the exhibition. This coming May, we feature Monet in Chicago, the first exhibition to explore Chicago's pioneering connection to the father of French Impressionism, bringing together more than 65 paintings from our museum and esteemed Chicago-based collections. It's an example of an international story being told through a Chicago lens. Guided by a mission that is at its core civic, our museum fully embraces our dynamic urban location, extending our programming outside our walls, beyond and into our gardens, and into the urban environment that surrounds them. For the past 3 years, we have celebrated the Lunar New Year with art making, storytelling, music, games, and gallery tours in English and Mandarin. At dusk, visitors head to Millennium Park for what they call a lion dance, what we call a lion dance, and a special lantern procession across the bridge into Maggie Daley Park. We also embrace one of Chicago's longest and most beloved neighborhood traditions, the block party. For the past 2 years, we welcomed thousands of visitors to celebrate the deep and lasting impact of Chicago art and design on American culture at our museum's own block party, conceived to bring a neighborhood model downtown for all neighborhoods to come together on our campus. The event included a 12-hour day of talks, performances, and art making that filled the museum's galleries, gardens, libraries, and public spaces. To conclude, on December 8th last year, more than 400 people came out on a day like today, a very chilly Saturday morning, to commemorate the 125th anniversary of the public opening of our Michigan Avenue building, 1893. This historic photo, which in fact restages a very similar shot taken on opening day in 1893, brought staff and members of the public together and happily made the front page of the Chicago Sun-Times. I hope this photo, among others, makes plain our embedded civic role, our commitment, and the pride many in our city feel for our great and grand facade, and we hope for our museum and our civic service. So with that, again, I thank you for your time.
Were there any questions from commissioners? Thank you very much for coming. I am particularly impressed by the degree of enrollment and participation that resulted from you moving the age from 14 to 17. That's incredible.
It's awesome.
Thank you. All right. Now, we will hear from people in the parks. Will the secretary please call the name of those who have signed up to speak?
I most certainly will. Our first three speakers are Dr. Trina Hollingsworth, Louise McCurry, and Juanita Irizarry. Dr. Hollingsworth? All right, Ms. McCurry?
Good morning. I didn't break the mic this time. I'm doing better. I want to just say, first of all, thank you very much on behalf of Jackson Park Advisory Council and Jackson Park for the amazing South Side PAC Advisory Council conference this weekend. What we saw this weekend was the ability for PACs to work together to solve common problems and to create positive solutions. And I just want to applaud enormously all the people who came, number one. And number two, the people who organize it. It's the kind of thing I hope we can do more often, because we took concrete problems and found concrete solutions, and people left feeling like they accomplished something. It was really an awesome experience for all of us. So I wanted to say, let's do it often. Each region has specific problems. South region's problems are specific to South region, usually. And there are things we can solve together, and we did this weekend. It was really amazing. Second thing, a particular online social media site created a statement about me this week, and it was sent to me by one of my friends who said, basically saying, how in the heck can you support the park district at the park district meetings and then say the park is failing? And they went on to be catty and make catty comments, but it's a very good question. How can you do that? Because in fact, that's what we're all about as PACs. It's about saying, we really support the Park District in their efforts to make things better and to be partners with us. At the same time, we have issues we need to resolve, and that's a partnership. Finally, I want to celebrate the step-by-step successes. Despite the fact the lake is coming in our park and all areas this week, and Lakeshore Drive, we've had just amazing successes this week in the park. The new roof on the bathrooms and the improvements in the field house, all have been amazing, and so we're really grateful for how that partnership has worked. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I also just thank you for the editorial that you wrote? It was very good and thoughtful, and I think it's important that we continue to have these partnerships where there is criticism but also support. So thank you. Well done.
Good morning, Juanita Irizarry, Friends of the Parks. It's fun to speak to you today in the very room where I graduated from Head Start. Also took ballet and gymnastics here as well, and was very well cared for one day when we were here in class and there were gunshots outside, and Chicago Park District staff were great with us kids in the building. So on a completely different note, I just want to bring to your attention an issue I've already spoken with Pat LeVar about, and he assures us that it will be addressed. But there have been a number of groups on the far southeast side who have come to us with concern that the lakeshore erosion study was going to end at Rainbow Beach and not take in Calumet Beach. and steel workers. And while Pat has assured me that's not correct, there are folks out in the community saying that they feel like the Park District doesn't care about the southeast side because that's what they're hearing and reading. I don't know how that happened. I imagine some reporters think that the lakefront ends at Rainbow Beach and just said it wrong. But I do just encourage you to reach out to community and make sure folks understand that that's not the case, but also that's happening at the same time that the Army Corps of Engineers is planning to put a vertical extension of their confined disposal facility dumping ground right in front of the lake. And so people are asking, how could we not be concerned about lakeshore erosion there while there's going to be an extended dump right on the site of the lake in the Calumet. So this is important that you talk to community, and we hope you will also stand with community in the concern about the expansion of that confined disposal facility as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat, did you want to address quickly?
Yeah, what Juanita and I talked about, so it's about the lakefront erosion study that we're working with CDOT and the Army Corps of Engineers. It's the entire 26 miles of lakefront from the border of Evanston all the way down to Indiana. I believe this week, maybe tomorrow, Heather's with Alderman Garza doing a site visit on the southeast side parks on that study. But Juanita's right. Every media report that has come out about the study in the last couple of weeks, they say Rainbow Beach is the south. It's the entire Evanston to Indiana, all 26 miles of lakefront is getting evaluated.
Thank you very much.
Our next three speakers are Rafael Caro, Kenneth Newman, and Janice Pagan, followed by Paul Montez.
Please.
Good morning. Again, Rafael Caro. Thank you for the time and welcome.
You have to speak into that microphone.
Thank you for the time. Again, Rafael Caro. And welcome, Mr. Commissioner Munoz. I am a member of the HPAC Humboldt Park Advisory Council, a longstanding member, as well as the Landscaping Co-Chair and Facilities Committee, and the Puerto Rican Agenda Board member. So on behalf of the Puerto Rican Agenda, I strongly advocate and we're pushing for to the forefront Humboldt Park and its lack of staffing, inaccessibility of the boathouse, which prematurely affected the boathouse gallery, the facility issues, which include no bathroom facility at the boathouse, comfort stations, water and rain issues throughout the entire park, not to mention the field house, which I also work for the Illinois Athletic Commission, and their boxing gym there floods on a regular basis. And I understand the effects of having such a discipline as boxing for the community and for the children in that area. I bike through the park and I use the park on a regular basis, as well as my family. My son plays baseball, and that's part of the issues with the water accumulation of the rain. So just to address the lack of sensitivity and support of the organization and partnerships and businesses like
30 seconds remaining. Keep going.
30 seconds.
the Cocineros United, which is the cooks that are the bedrock on the cultural legacy of Humboldt Park. Given the large scale of the park and the amount of visitors that go to those and enjoy the park, it's imperative that all these issues get addressed. And I think it's not much to ask, and the community shouldn't be ignored. Thank you.
I mean, many of the issues, thank you for your testimony, by the way, and thanks for coming. Many of the issues we've addressed over the years has been a constant dialogue. I would ask, I think this is your first time testifying here.
Yes.
So what we normally would ask is, if you would, I don't know if Pat stayed in the room, most of your issues were capital, but would you follow up with our Chief Operating Officer, Pat LeVar, on those issues?
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cotto, he's right this way. Mr. Newman, whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, President Lavelle, Commissioners, Superintendent Kelly. I was going through the agenda in the last 24 hours, and I'm very much looking forward to the opening of the indoor track facility on 103rd Street. That's going to be a major game changer for developing athletic talent. However, there's a $211,000 change order on the agenda, And that amount of money for a change order really concerns me. And I'm curious about whether the architects and planners for this facility made a mistake or whatever happened, but that is definitely a concern. It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. The change order was made on behalf of the ASM, the After School Matters side of the job, and they're paying.
And they are paying for it? Okay, thank you.
It's class space for them.
So anyway, in regards to athletic facilities and facilities throughout the parks, I am still waiting for the repair and construction and finishing the issues of Jackson Park, especially the Iowa building and the bathroom down at 67th and Lakeshore Drive. We also have got the bathroom that is east of the museum, which supposedly just got a new roof on it. The tradespeople had frankly not done the job of that bathroom on the east side of the museum. There were several issues in terms of the length of time it took to fix that.
30 seconds remaining.
Finally, we've just had a discussion at our JPAC meeting the other night. The amount of damage along the lakefront, this needs to go to the Illinois General Assembly, to the federal government. We have erosion going on as I speak, and it's just from Howard Street to the state line. This is going to become the Park District's #1 priority in the next 5 years. Otherwise, we're going to lose our parkland. Thank you.
We agree.
Ms. Janice Pagan, is she here? All right, next we have Mr. Paul Montez, the second, and following him, Andrea Rogers.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Good afternoon, Madam President. My name is Paul Montez. I am the president of the DuSable Park Advisory Council. I'm a concerned resident of Chicago, as well as a member of the Haitian American community in Chicago. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today regarding the DuSable Park. It's time for DuSable Park to be completed. It's been more than 30 years since 1987 when Mayor Harold Washington dedicated that park. Over those 30 years, we've seen parks in the surrounding area be developed, including Maggie Daley, our museum campus, the Millennium Park, the Riverwalk, and Navy Pier, as well as its park. Yet we still don't have DuSable Park. In 2006, the Park District actually developed plans, and they also had plans for its completion. They had site plans, they had a budget. But since that time, in more than 12 years, we still haven't seen the development of the park. We understand that there have been some issues in regard to moving forward. Most of those issues have been resolved. We've had remediation of the soil. There was contamination at that site. And we're currently having the revetment, the seawall, rebuilt, which should be completed by the end of this year. So our park is shovel ready. We also need to break the ties that we have to the development of the property located at 400 North Lakeshore Drive. DuSable Park should be built regardless of whether or not the development goes forward.
Keep going.
The developer has promised with the Spire, which was the original development, to commit $4.1 million toward the development of this park. That development now is going to be with Related, who has also committed their $4.1 million to develop the park. But the park should move forward with their money to be pledged at a future date without it tying to the development of either of that site at this point in time. So we urge you to consider looking again at seriously getting our park built
Your closing remarks?
and having the developer reimburse the Park District for money spent to develop the park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Andrea Rogers, Vice President of External Affairs for Shedd Aquarium. And I'm here just to say thank you. As you finish your budget discussions and process, we are so grateful for the relationship that we have with Superintendent Kelly and his staff and with all of you, and for the annual funding that we receive through the Museums in the Park tax distribution, which is about $3.8 million annually. That represents 6% of our operational budget. But the ability for us to deliver more mission moments with greater impact and accessibility is huge, and that's made possible with that annual funding. So we thank you for continuing to include that and to allow us to deliver more impact. We welcome approximately 2 million guests annually as your top attended cultural institution in the city of Chicago. And 1/3 of those, so over 500,000 of those who attend, come with free admission. We also welcomed 174,000 student visits to the aquarium in the last year, of which 50,000 are students on Chicago Public School field trips. Those students represent about 63% of all CPS schools, with the majority of those coming from the south side of Chicago. Additionally, our teen work study program in the last year, which focuses on providing underserved teens opportunity to gain and build academic, life, and job skills, employed about 92 students, which provided over 12,000 hours of work experience in the last year. And one more just quick stat is leveraging those funds through the Chicago Park District Park Voyagers program. We engaged 335 children and nearly 50 adults across 5 parks last year. Just a small representative of what we are able to do with that funding. And there's even more to that. So we thank you and appreciate your continued support and hope to see you at the aquarium soon.
Thank you for coming.
There are no further speakers.
Thank you. Under unfinished business, there's nothing to present. Under new business from the Director of Information Technology, authorization to enter into a contract with Comcast Corporation for telecommunication services.
Good afternoon, Board of Commissioners and Superintendent Kelly. I'm Patrick Callahan, IT Director for the Chicago Park District. Pursuant to Chapter 11, Section D1B2A of the CPD Code, it is recommended that the General Superintendent and CEO or his designee enter into contract with Comcast to provide telecommunication services to remote park sites owned by the Chicago Park District. The CPD IT department currently supports a network connecting approximately 250 sites and facilities citywide. Today, there's a growing demand for high-speed internet and increased bandwidth to accommodate mounting business needs such as video surveillance for security, building automation for facility management, digital boards for marketing, voice over IP upgrades from analog to digital telephony, and expansion of private and public internet connections in our field houses and remote offices. Challenges in meeting this demand include aging carrier infrastructure and oversubscription of our existing circuits. Currently, we have approximately 70 sites with internet connections provided by Comcast, with speeds ranging from 25 to 75 megabits per second. As part of this proposed agreement, we plan to migrate 21 additional sites over to Comcast and upgrade an overall 36 sites to higher speed internet, ranging from 100 megabits per second to 1 gigabit per second. This will place our network on newer and updated fiber optic infrastructure at select sites, upgrade services to fiber over coax speed at remaining sites, and overall run on a more stable internet connection. Internet connectivity is absolutely critical for Chicago Park District staff to run a successful operation. Our network provides staff access to the internet, CPD email, network file shares, company intranet, workflow automation systems, building automation, work order management, program registration, point of sale, learning management, and other business critical applications and services. It is CPD IT's mission to provide fast and reliable connectivity to our staff, and where possible, provide free wireless internet to the general public. To do so, we need to upgrade our infrastructure and increase our bandwidth to create a solid foundation to grow on top of. This agreement is the first of many steps in laying that foundation. Some of the parks included in the service upgrade project include Altgeld, Shed, Taylor Lordson, Cornell Square, Mandrake, Kennecott, South Shore Cultural Center, Calumet, Gately, and Man Park. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments?
So what percentage of the parks, I suppose, with field houses have free Wi-Fi now?
Overall percentage, I'd have to get back to you with an accurate figure on that. I would say based on a latest report I was looking at, about 100 of the parks do right now. 100 to 120 have free Wi-Fi.
Okay. And then on this proposal, there are going to be 20 or so that get upgraded to the fastest
36.
36.
Right.
And how will those sites be determined?
Which of the?
So I heard you say that there were going to be some sites that ended up with kind of really fast or really.
So to answer that question, the starting point with our site selection was really migrating off of the fixed wireless internet connections that we have, which we see more as a workaround to getting internet connectivity at parks. These are the connections that have an antenna on the roof. So with Comcast, we're bringing in hardwired connections to these parks. So we first looked at where there are fixed wireless connections that we'd like to migrate off of. We also did some construction qualification with Comcast. And it's important to note too that Comcast has waived all construction costs with this project that total at this point $900,000. So after we did the construction qualification, we looked at our own data to see where are some of these sites that we have frequent connectivity issues at. We did focus on the central and south regions quite a bit, primarily the A and B field houses that are located within those. Those are the highest two size of field houses that we have. And we also looked at locations that have high volume of CPD staff or event space. So South Shore is a good example where just last month we hosted Mayor Lori Lightfoot's budget hearing there, which was live streamed to thousands of people. Michelle Obama's been at South Shore Cultural Center before. We have lots of special events that occur there. Kennecott is another location that has a lot of community rec staff. We have risk management, culture, arts, and nature located at South Shore. So we wanted to focus on some of these areas that are in need of more bandwidth.
Okay. The last thing that I'll mention, and this is probably not necessarily directed at you related to this contract, but I think it is very, very important, critically important, that we at the Park District look at the city and the parks and the communities that are being served and try to identify what areas or neighborhoods are actually, technology dead or internet dead, and then try to aggressively get into those communities, even if they may not be the place where we have the greatest events or whatever, because there's just a strong need in communities for free Wi-Fi, internet access, because so many homes don't have it. And it's becoming a real important, it is not becoming, it has become a tremendously important thing.
Yeah, agreed. And the recent Invest in South and West initiative, we have been working with Comcast to get as many of our existing Comcast sites within those community areas upgraded to the fiber over coaxial speed as possible. And we will continue to work with them to see how many more sites we can bring it under this agreement. So,
Thank you. Will the secretary please take a roll call?
Hey,
I'm sorry.
President, can I ask a question? Do we, in response to Commissioner King's comments about mapping the access for communities and focusing on, do we coordinate with other city agencies that might have Wi-Fi access to make sure that we're covering as efficiently as possible the city and access in those communities that are internet dead, as you said. In other words, I don't know if libraries might have Wi-Fi access. So I would encourage you to coordinate with our sister agencies to make sure that we respond to Commissioner King's point about creating access in these different parts of the city that don't have good coverage.
Right. Agreed. And we've been starting conversations with CPS as well as CDOT to see how we can start working together, particularly CPS. There's so many parks located adjacent to schools. It makes sense for us to coordinate and collaborate with them as much as we can on initiatives like this. So.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good counsel.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Do we need roll call or?
We can take the last favorable roll call. If there's any objection, can we take the last favorable roll call from the prior matter to this matter?
That's fine.
Any objections?
No.
Hearing none, motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Thank you.
From the Director of Facility Management, a contract award for building a building automation system for maintenance and repair services district-wide, specification number P 19015.
First of all, I'd like to extend my appreciation to the retirees who are still here, most of whom are younger than me, which gives me pause for thought. President Lavelle, Commissioners, General Superintendent and CEO Kelly, good afternoon. I'm Robert Arlo. I'm the Director of Facility Management. I'm here today to recommend that an order be entered authorizing the General Superintendent or his designee to enter into contract with Anchor Mechanical Incorporated. This contractor was selected pursuant to publicly advertised request for proposal and subsequent evaluation committee review. No work may commence, no procurement made, no payments shall be made prior to the execution of written agreements. In 2010, the Park District undertook the replacement of 53 old building boiler systems, retrofitting them with energy efficient boilers and controls. This project was financed through an energy savings performance contract program. Included in this project was the ability to manage these HVAC systems remotely. In each newly constructed building and heavily renovated buildings, we've included the building automation system as part of those projects. We now total 66 buildings equipped with the building automation system. You may have a map at your.
We have it.
BAS is the acronym for the Building Automation System. The BAS allows engineers to connect to the building controls by use of their remote laptop or desktop computers. There are sensors located in strategic areas throughout the facility which give us temperature and setting readings. The BAS assists the Park District engineers with the ability to remotely monitor, service, and maintain buildings while physically servicing other facility locations. The services necessary to troubleshoot, repair, and support the highly technical system are what is required in this contract, and Anchor Mechanical has the experience, capacity, and ability to perform. Anchor's years of experience has assisted the Chicago Park District in the past with its needs. Therefore, it is in the best interest of the Chicago Park District to award Anchor Mechanical Incorporated the contract for maintenance, repair, and support of the building automation system.
Questions or comments?
May I answer any questions?
No. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
If there's no objection, we will apply the last favorable roll call vote to this matter.
No objections? Hearing none, motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Thank you. From the Director of Planning and Construction, a change order number 1, NTE, for $211,000 for Gately Park Indoor Track and Field. Heather Gleason will address us.
All right. Good afternoon, Superintendent Kelly, President Lavelle, Commissioners. My name is Heather Gleason. I'm the Director of Planning and Development. It is recommended that the General Superintendent or his designee approve a change order to the Gately Track and Field Facility construction contract with McHugh BOA for an amount not to exceed $211,000. This change order has been requested by our partners, After School Matters, to further their programming needs, and this change order will also be funded by After School Matters. We're going to show you a very brief time-lapse video of the construction so far. If we can get it going, here we go. It is about 62% complete at this point. Obviously, we haven't got to that point in the video yet, but it's very exciting. We're looking to complete in spring of 2020. This is going into the inside of the facility to show you the indoor track construction.
That's exciting.
Yeah, impressive how fast they work, isn't it? I'm joking. That was obviously sped up. So,
Video with a permit process?
That's right. Yeah, no, that goes much slower. As many of you know, this is Chicago's first state-of-the-art indoor track facility of more than 100,000 square feet that will feature the area's first hydraulically banked 200-meter track. So that's what you saw inside that they poured the concrete for. So we're really excited to get that moving, hopefully at the end of this month, to get the rubber surfacing in. And our partner, After School Matters, will occupy approximately 22,000 square feet with dedicated program space in the front of the track and field project. After School Matters requested these revisions to the project to better align their programming needs. And as I mentioned earlier, they have approved the funding expenditure through their board. The costs are really associated with revisions to the scope of work, including architectural, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, and low voltage systems. Just to give you a little flavor for some of the changes that they're requesting, they're working on a revised layout to their music room to make sure that they're adding an acoustical wall so that they can have a practice room for the kids after school and a mixing studio. They're also looking at adding projectors and wireless access points in their program rooms as well. So that's just a little bit of what they're doing. The MBE is 43.29 and the WBE is 0.25. However, the total contract for the MBE and WBB amount for the entire contract, if this change order is approved, will be above our 25 and 5 policy at 37.97 for MBE and 8.67 for WBE to ensure compliance with Park District policies. And with that, I'm happy to take your questions.
Questions or comments? If not, then may I have a motion? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We were just talking about how spectacular this project is and how excited we are. So
It's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a game changer. If there's no objection, we will apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Any objections? Hearing none, motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Okay, at this time, we'll go into executive session to consider various matters pursuant to the Illinois Open Meetings Act appropriately discussed in executive session. There will be a discussion of an employment matter pursuant to 5 Illinois CS 120 section 2 subsection C1 and 2. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
President Lavelle and board, as we're going to executive session, since they're in the room, it's a great team effort. This is a complex project, but Nicole Sheehan, if you could stand, she's the project manager on Gately, and Linda Daly, the deputy director. They're doing a phenomenal job. It's very complex, and we've never done something like this before, and they're doing a yeoman's work, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, can we return to order? We return to order. Is there a motion to return to open session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. I'm taking the role of the secretary.
Aye.
Against? Hearing none, motion carried, return to open session.
Thank you. The Board of Commissioners met in executive session to discuss an employment matter pursuant to 5 Illinois CS 120 Section 2 subsection C1 and 2 and had the following matters of new business. The board had an update on the ratification of the SEIU negotiations. No vote is required. So that concludes our board meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion is carried. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you one and all for coming today.